Good morning, learners. This is Teacher Jocelyn, teaching you today the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. You see things around you. There are living and non-living things. As we go through this lesson, you will realize that you are an integral part of an ecosystem. Hopefully, with that realization, you will develop a strong commitment to help and preserve the ecosystem. Our learning objective is to differentiate the biotic from abiotic components of an ecosystem, specifically to determine the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem, to classify the biotic components of an ecosystem as producers, consumers, and decomposers, and lastly, to compare abiotic from biotic components found in an ecosystem. To test your prior knowledge about this lesson, let's take this short quiz. Choose the best answer. Number 1. What does biotic mean? A. Living, B. Non-living, once living, or D. Decaying? If you answered letter A. Living, then you are correct. Very good. Number 2, what does abiotic mean? A. Living, B. Non-living, C. Once living, or letter D. Decaying? The correct answer is letter B. Non-living. Let's try another one. Number 3, what do you call the non-living components of an ecosystem? A. Abiotic factors, B. Weather factors, C. Biotic factors, D. Living factors. What's your answer? If your answer is letter A. Abiotic factors, then you are correct. Very good. Number 4, what do you call the living components of an ecosystem? A. Abiotic factors, B. Weather factors, C. Abiotic factors or biotic factors, D. Living factors. What's your answer? The correct answer is letter C. Let's try another one. For the last number, 5. Which is an example of an abiotic factor in a plant ecosystem? A. The water, B. The frog, C. Grasshopper, D. Snake. What's your answer? The correct answer is A. Water. Very good. We will deepen your understanding about the lesson, but before that, let's have a review. In your previous lesson, you have learned that life continues in every living organism through the process of reproduction. Organisms can reproduce either sexually or asexually. To check what you have learned, let's answer the following activity, what's in. Examine the organisms shown in the picture. Determine the mode of reproduction and count the number of parents involved in the process of reproduction. You may use your pad paper for your answer. We have here the name of organism. The first, potato. We have here the picture, a picture of a potato. Is it sexual or asexual reproduction? How many number of parents involved? We have here another. We have a chicken. A picture of a chicken. Is it sexual or asexual reproduction? How many parents involved? And last one, we have humans. We have here a family. Is it sexual or asexual? How many parents involved? Are you ready for your answer? Okay, let's have the potato. What's your answer? The correct answer is asexual. And the number of parents involved, we have 1. Very good. Next one, we have chicken. The correct answer is sexual reproduction and 2 parents involved. Very good. Last one, humans. What do you think? Obviously, it's sexual reproduction and 2 parents involved. Of course, you have your mother and father. Since we are talking about the ecosystem, what is all about the ecosystem? The ecosystem is composed of all living things interacting with one another with their environment. A tree can be seen as an example of an ecosystem in which zones of the tree is a habitat for a distinct community of organisms. We have the branches and leaves, we have the trunk, roots, and litter zone. Each of the zones have different varieties of animals that live. We have the birds, moths, and bees for the branches and leaves. We have the trunk where the insects and larvae live. And of course, we go down deeper, we have the bacteria, worms, woodlice, and fungi. An ecosystem is a community of animals, microorganisms, non-living things, and their shared environment. It is made up of habitats, the place where an organism lives, and communities, all the living organisms that live within a habitat. Okay, so this is a pond ecosystem. Can you identify
Yadali suliti karunahan Agamay ken armas di siya sinuman Karabay ken granya amang iturong Kadati yarapa at kayo
Okay, very good. So let's check your answer. So we have here the living things and non-living things. We have under the living things, mosquito, pond skater, dragonfly, duck, and water lily. Did you have the same answer? Under the non-living organism or non-living things, we have the water, air, and mud. Very good. Okay, so we can now proceed to biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. Are you ready? Yes, okay, so here it is. Okay, so we have the biotic components of an ecosystem. So, an ecosystem consists of biotic or the living and abiotic, the non-living components. Living organisms like the animals, plants, fungi, protists, and bacteria, including human beings, make up the biotic components of an ecosystem. So what are the roles of biotic components? What do you think? Okay, so let's have producers, or in other words, autotrophs or self-feeders. These are organisms capable of making their own food. They are called energy transducers. They convert the sun's energy and the inorganic nutrients from the soil into chemical energy through the process of photosynthesis. Yes, that's right. Another is the energy that they store serves as food for the consumers and the composers. That's amazing. Plants and some bacteria are the most dominant producers in most ecosystems. Another role for biotic components, we have the consumers or heterotrophs, organisms that cannot make their own food. They depend on the food made by other organisms for survival. Consumers are classified based on the food they eat and their place in the ecosystem. We have the primary consumers are those that feed only on plants. They are always herbivores or plant eaters. Examples are cows, caterpillar, and goats. Secondary consumers depend on secondary consumers for food. They can either be carnivores or flesh eaters, those that feed on meat only. Examples are snakes, frogs, and hawks. Omnivores are the mixed eaters, those that feed on both plants and animals. Examples are humans. Yes, that's right. We are omnivores. And chickens and mouse. Tertiary consumers are organisms that depend on secondary consumers for food. They can also be an omnivore. We have here sample pictures of primary consumer. We have cow, a rabbit. For secondary consumer, we have snake. It is a carnivore, and a mouse, an omnivore. Another role, we have the decomposers. Organisms that feed on dead or decaying organisms that convert this into soil. They are also known as the final consumer. Decomposers can be classified as saprotrophs and detritivores. We have the first one, saprotrophs. These are the organisms that use enzymes to help break down organic matter in order to absorb the nutrients. Examples are fungi and bacteria. Detritivores, these are the organisms that feed on decomposing plants or animals along with waste products. Examples are worms and insects like flies, dung beetles, maggots, and ants. Okay, so we have now the abiotic components of an ecosystem. We have three categories. We have the climatic and physical factors. We have the air, water, soil, and sunlight, humidity, rainfall, temperature, soil texture, and topography. We have the inorganic substances. These are the various nutrients and elements and compounds. We have the organic compounds. These are the proteins, carbohydrates, lipids, etc. They largely form the living body and link the abiotic components with the biotic factors. Along with the categories, we have the major factors. We have the air, mixture of gases. Oxygen and carbon dioxide is present in air. And carbon dioxide is necessary for the plants in making their own food. Another, we have the sunlight. It is used for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis, this is the process in which plants make their own food. Another, we have the temperature. It keeps plants and animals warm. Another factor, we have the water. Of course, no water, no life. Living organisms need water. For example, us, humans. In the morning, we need water. Upon waking up, we wash our face, we make our coffee, we drink, we take a bath. We feel uneasy if we do not drink water. Plants also, they will die if they do not have enough water supply. So if there is no water, there is also no life. Another is we have the soil. This provides important nutrients for plants. We cannot grow our vegetables if we do not have soil. Okay, we will now compare biotic from abiotic components. We have here the definition. Under biotic components, we have here the living organisms that shape an ecosystem. Under abiotic, non-living things that influence an ecosystem. Examples of biotic components, we have plants, animals, fungi, and bacteria. We have examples of abiotic components: sunlight, water, soil, minerals. Biotic components depend on the non-living factors. Abiotic components do not depend on biotic factors. Biotic components may be directly or indirectly related to other organisms. Abiotic components determine the number and type of organisms living in an ecosystem. Another, we have biotic components are capable of adapting to changes in the environment. While abiotic components do not have the ability to adapt according to environmental conditions. Abiotic components, changes in any abiotic factors might cause a significant change in biotic factors, while under biotic components rarely affected by a change in one biotic factor. Biotic components originate from the biosphere, while the abiotic components originate from the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Did you understand the lesson? Okay, very good. So let's move on to what's more. Another activity, identify and classify meat. You are going to identify the biotic and abiotic factors found in the plant ecosystem. If the component is a biotic factor, classify this as a producer, consumer, or decomposer. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper. On your paper, you write 3 tables. Write on the upper part components, biotic or abiotic, and on the last part or last column, producers, consumers, or decomposers. The first one is already done. We have the frog, it is biotic, and it is a consumer. Okay, so I have here the picture of the farm.
Tutubo ng premyo, alalipatik kayo. Kasog manginurong na progreso, adalan kayo. Si tayo nga ang premyo, nga ang tutubo. At baling hasil ng probinsya kayo. Oh, ang premyo, makita mo na. Tawag ng paay, tidak terang. Ada yakin rakyat yang tutubo. Tayo ni Pangpanguna, tayo nagkay-kaysa. Sapnuwang kalay pada-pada.
Are you ready?
Premyo makita mo na. Tawag ng paay, tidak terang. Ada yakin rakyat yang tutubo. Tayo ni Pangpanguna, tayo nagkay-kaysa. Sapnuwang palagi pada-pada.
Okay, are you done? So let's check. Very good. Okay, so we have here samples of the components. We have the frog, which is already given. Insects, okay, it is a biotic, okay, and a consumer. Another is plants. It is biotic and it is a producer. Another, we have the soil. It is abiotic. Okay, very good. Okay, let's have another activity. Fill in the Venn diagram by writing the terms found in the word pool in the appropriate circles labeled biotic and abiotic components. Write your answer in a separate sheet of paper. So I have here a Venn diagram. This is where you choose. Temperature, fungi, non-living factors can cause a change to living things. Living components, existence do not depend on plants or animals, come from the atmosphere, acidity of the soil, affect other organisms, cannot adapt in accordance to environmental conditions, growth and existence depends on non-living components, sunlight found in the biosphere, plants and algae. Choose your answer well.
Yadalisuti kang runahan, agamay ken armas di siya sinuman, tarabay ken ranyag amang iturong, kadati yarapa kayo.
Take your time in answering.
Tubo nga premyo, aral patay kayo. Isok manginong na progreso, agalan kayo. Si kayo nga ang premyo, nga ang tutubo. At baing asil ng probinsya kayo. Ang premyo, makita mo na. Gawain pa ay tidak terang. Adal yakin rakyat tertutubo. Tayo ni Pangpanguna, tayo na kay Kaysa. Takluwag talagi ang hadapan.
Okay, shall we check your answers? Okay, so let's check your answers. Under biotic components, we have fungi, living components, affect other organisms, growth and existence, depend on non-living components, found in the biosphere, plants, algae. Between them, biotic factors have to rely on biotic factors to survive. Under abiotic components, temperature, non-living factors can cause a change to living things. Existence does not depend on plants and animals. Come from the atmosphere. Acidity of the soil cannot adapt to environmental conditions. Sunlight. So you see, all the things that we see around us, they are very important to us. I hope from this lesson you will learn to help and protect our environment, our ecosystem, our home. So if there are no more questions, let's proceed now to assessment. Good luck. Okay, let's now have the assessment. Read the items carefully and choose the letter of the correct answer. Write your answer on a separate sheet of paper. Let's read. Which of the following is a biotic factor? A. Sunlight. B. Temperature. C. Soil. D. Grass.
Yadalisuti kang runahan, agamay ken armas di siya sinuman, tarabay ken ranyag amang iturong, kadati yarapa kayo.
Okay, let's check. The correct answer for number 1 is letter D, grass. Of course, grass is a biotic factor. Okay, for the next item, what are the two components of ecosystem? A, biotic and abiotic components. B, living and another living things. C, food and habitat. D, consumers and decomposers.
Yadalisuti kang runahan, Sarabay ken branyag amang turong kadagiti yarapa ang tulong.
Okay, for number 2, the correct answer is letter B. Very good. Biotic and abiotic components. Okay, for item number 3, which of the following situations shows a biotic factor operating within an ecosystem? A. The kind of climate in a given area. B. Carnivores that eat other animals. C. The concentration of hydrogen gas in the air. Or letter D. Consumers and decomposers.
Yadalisuti kang runaan agamay ken armas di siya sinuman. Sarabay ken branyag amang turong kadagiti yarapa ang tulong.
Okay, so let's check. What do you think is the correct answer? Okay, for number 3, the correct answer is letter B. Carnivores that eat other animals. Very good. So, are you getting a high score? Okay, number 4. Let's read, everybody. An ecosystem exists with biotic and abiotic factors. Which of the following biotic factors is a producer in an ecosystem? A. Carabao. B. Snake. C. Tree. D. Bird.
Yadalisuti kang runaan agamay ken armas di siya sinuman. Sarabay ken branyag amang turong kadagiti yarapa ang tulong.
Okay, so shall we check? The correct answer is letter C. Okay. Okay, for number 5, what are the abiotic factors in this ecosystem? A. Rain, rat, earthworm. B. Sunlight, rain, air. C. Shrubs, birds, air. D. Rat, shrubs, spiders.
Yadalisuti kang runaan agamay ken armas di siya sinuman. Sarabay ken branyag amang turong kadagiti yarapa ang tulong.
Okay, let's see if you got it right. So for number 5, the correct answer is letter B. Sunlight, rain, and air. Okay, very good. Before we end this lesson, let's have a summary. A biotic factor is a living that has an impact on another population of living things or on the environment. Abiotic factors do the same thing, but they are non-living. Together, biotic and abiotic factors make up an ecosystem. To survive, biotic factors need abiotic factors. So, that's it for our video.